Welcome everyone. Long live Test cricket is back, and it's back with arguably the biggest game in the history of Indian cricket, and also in the small history of long live Test cricket. I mean, honestly, it can't get bigger than this. Just feel the sound of it. India versus Australia in a World Test Championship final in London, Kennington Oval. Man, it just can't get bigger than that. And I think there are millions of reasons to be excited about it. I'm hell excited, and I'm sure all the Test cricket fans, Indian Test cricket fan, Australian Test cricket fans, and the Test cricket fans in general will be very excited about this. This is the second edition of World Test Championship, and I think this time there will be no doubts. Like the two most deserving team are meeting up in the finals, and what more you can ask for? I think the two giants and probably the best two sides in Test cricket in last 4 5 years. I was wondering like how to preview this game because there are so many stories behind this rivalry. There's such a huge, rich history behind this rivalry. There are so many narratives. Even in the qualification, we saw like it went till the end. I mean, the last series India Australia played, both of the teams qualified in that series itself. So I think it's tough to put everything into context. So that is why I came up with an idea like let's think about like why India is favorite to win this. Let's think about the reasons why India is not favorite to win this. So I think this way we can reach to the conclusion in a better, or I think in the quicker form. So let's start with the positives, like why India is favorite to win the second edition of World Test Championship. And I think the first reason which immediately jumps into my mind, and I think in most of the uh, Indian Test cricket fans, is the dominance of India over Aussies, and especially in the recent past, but also in general in this century. So let me throw some stats. Like, I mean, India, Australia, uh, the record under the Border Gavaskar Trophy, India have won it 11 times in comparison to 5 times Australia have won it. So just imagine this dominance. I mean, it's something which is crazy stat. Some team doing this to Australia, the mighty Aussies, and it's not only about the recent ones. Like India have won 4 back-to-back series against Australia. I think the last time Australia won against India in this format was in 2014-15, and that was also in their own backyard. So I mean, this is some record I think which is very undervalued, and because I believe this kind of dominance over a team like Australia, it's actually it's as good as winning an ICC trophy. And I mean, you can't even imagine some other team doing that to Australia. So this is something which every Indian cricket fan should be proud of, and I think that is one of the biggest reasons why India, for me, is favorite in this World Test Championship final against Aussies. Their I mean, one-sided dominance, especially recently. And the second reason, I think, because this is where I think I was struggling to find more reasons. I mean, honestly, but the second biggest reason for me is like their opening pair, Indian opening pair, Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. I think we saw how brilliantly Rohit Sharma played last time uh, when India were touring England, and I think his partnership with KL Rahul laid the foundation for most of the Indian victories in that Test series. Even the English commentators were praising them, and they said like it is one of the best performance, or one of the best opening performances they have seen recently in England against the moving ball. So I think Rohit adjusted brilliantly. Even he surprised everyone. Like, and he actually showed like uh, why he is such a brilliant batter in Test cricket as well. So and now I think he will be there will be Shubman Gill joining him in the opening pair this time, and we know Shubman Gill right now is actually the peak of his career, the form of his life. He has launched himself into this potentially another great Indian batter, and I think not only in shorter format. I think he had, I think fantastic IPL. I would fantastic will be an understatement, I would say. But even before that, in that Ahmedabad test, he scored that brilliant 100. So I think this opening pair, I believe, is gonna be is gonna come very good for India, and this is really a huge plus. The third one for me is the way Shami and Siraj are bowling with the new ball. I think, though the format is completely different in IPL, but we even before that, in that India Australia series, in those, I think the tracks which were not very much beneficial for fast bowling, I think Shami and Siraj, uh, outbowled the Aussie pace battery, and which was very heartening to see as an Indian cricket fan. I think IPL as well, their opening spell was a standout. I think they were the best bowler, the best new ball bowler in the IPL. And Siraj in particular, he was bowling some heat as well, 146, 147, and consistently beating the batters. I think he was very unlucky, and otherwise he would have had more wickets under his belt. And Siraj is I think he is pumped up, and the fire he showed in IPL and also before that in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, I think the this opening spell by Shami and Siraj is gonna be very very crucial for India as well, and I think it can also uh, lay the foundation for them to bundle out Aussie batting lineup in a we would say under par score. The reasons why India is not favorite to win the second edition of World Test Championship. And I think the first one which pierces through us is the absence of Bumrah and Rishabh Pant. I mean, arguably the two biggest match winners for India in this format in last 5 6 years. Pant with his quick counter-attacking Pant with his quick counter-attacking style has dug ourselves out so many times from tricky situations, and brought us into the winning situations. And I think Pant has been, for me, the best Indian batter, and it's not only about his counter attacking style but also his consistency. He's way more consistent in comparison to the style with which he bats actually, and that is a huge heartening thing. uh, Bumrah, I mean, we are surely gonna miss his uh, 5 spells, and in Oval itself last time he sent tremors into the English batting lineup, and honestly that was just, so these two are gonna be a huge miss, and hopefully that's not the case, but I think this is definitely the biggest reason why India is not favorite going into this World Test Championship final second edition. Second one is I think it's been a bit unorthodox one, but I had to bring that forward. Is like, you, recently you might have seen, it's very rare for a test batting lineup to have so many of their batters in almost like in the form of their life, and that is the case with Australia, barring David Warner. I would say most of them, because Steve Smith, I would consider him as a the consistent one. So there is no such thing for him like peak of his career or of his life. We know Steve Smith. So, but apart from these two, if you think about Usman Khwaja, definitely is just playing on a different level altogether now, scoring runs almost every part of the world, in Australia, in subcontinent. He was also a very rare shining light in the recently concluded Border Gavaskar Trophy. And I mean, Usman Khwaja right now is a different better to what we used to witness earlier. And then Travis Head, he has broken all the barriers. Cam Green is like looks ever so reliable on the wicket, and Manas Labuschagne is arguably amongst the best three batters in the world right now. So I mean, this batting lineup is like almost every batter is definitely in the peak of his career, and in the form of his life. And this is and especially right now in Test cricket, in recently there have been a lot of struggle from the batting side, especially in the testing conditions. So that's a huge plus for Australia, and not at all a plus for India. So I think This is going to be a challenge for Indian bowlers to get through that lineup, in especially in a very favorable conditions in oval, where I believe the conditions are going to be very favorable for the batting. Another big reason where I think the Indian team might struggle is like this quick turnaround. They were almost all of their players were playing in the IPL, which just got concluded on, I think, on 28th of May, and most of them were involved in that final as well. And I think they're completely two different conditions, and I think the extreme ends of the formats as well, from T20 to Test cricket, playing in such a huge game. So I think the Indian batters especially will find it tough to adjust in such a quick turnaround. Like, it's almost like there is no tour game, and it's just the net practice which they are going to do, I believe. And so I think that is a huge challenge for Indian batters to and against such a uh, great Aussie bowling lineup, such experience there, and this so I've always never been a fan of where they place the World Test Championship just after the IPL. Maybe they're struggling to find the window, so I don't know there, but it's not an ideal time for Indian team at all. And Australians, all of their batters, I think, are playing in the county cricket. It's almost like 2 3 months now they're playing. They are better acclimatized, and yeah, I mean, no matter how good how good a player you are, it takes time actually to adjusting, especially from T20 to Test cricket. So that's I think it's not in the favor of Indian team at all. And let's see how they tackle this challenge. And another one which I think it's not at all to do with the technical aspect of the game, but it's more of a mental aspect of it, is like India is having a very poor records in the knockout ACC games, and though the different format, but also in World Test Championship, the first edition. So they are somehow not crossing that line, and it sometime it stays in your mind. And I think these Indian players are mentally very strong, because day in day out they play in a very almost in a huge stake games. And so but still I think the ICC event, I don't know, I've seen the body language recently of Indian team, be it in the T20 of semi-finals, or in the ODI format knockout games. I think especially with their batting lineup, they are a bit subdued, I've seen, and they play with some sort of fear actually, and that fear is like now growing more when you are not able to cross that line, when you are not able to win an ICC trophy. And it's been like, I think, 10 years now India won last ICC trophy. So I think I hope they put this behind, but I think that that should now be considered as a factor, because India is failing on that final frontier again and again. And let's hope not this time, but that's becoming a problem for Indian cricket. We love the possible 11s, we love our predicted 11s, and I think it's sort of a fantasy right now to pick a side before such a huge game. And I've thrown my hands into it as well. And let's start with the more complex one, the India's predicted 11. So I think the opening slot selects it by itself, and Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli. It's as easy as it could be till now. Then we have Ajinkya Rahane, the comeback for Ajinkya Rahane. I remember, I think, last time when India played against England in Oval, he had a very poor test match as well as very poor test series, and I think that become one of the reason of him getting dropped in the test side. Hopefully this time he makes it count, and because the comebacks are never easy, I would say, and he got this chance now, so he should capitalize it this time. And I think he's an experienced batter, and under the kind of form he is in IPL, I hope he can bring that solidity in the middle order which India seeks now badly, especially when Pant is not there. And the keeper batter. Actually, the next one is where most of the cricket fraternity is arguing about, is like Ishan Kishan or KS Bharat. Um, I'm actually the one who believes in process, and I think KS Bharat, though he didn't have the sort of series he would have liked against Australia, and not only from bat, I think for the batters in general, that series was tough. There were testing conditions, and against the quality bowling lineup both the teams had, and but where it disappointed me is like it's just keeping skills, and I think there he lacked, and he needs to improve on that. So I think he deserves one more chance, KS Bharat. And in his short stint when he was batting, actually he showed some glimpses, like he is not only the kind of batter who gives solidity, but he can counter attack as well. He has got those shots as well. So let's back KS Bharat for one more match, and I know it's a huge game. After KS Bharat, obviously Ramit Jadeja, I mean the IPL winner, and then I think the next one is where another debate is going on, is Ashwin versus Shardul Thakur. Uh, I think I would have gone towards Ashwin, uh, but I think the way Aussie batting lineup handled Ashwin, Aksar, and Jadeja in that last Test match in Ahmedabad, where the conditions were not favoring the spin bowling. There was not much bite in the track, and so I'm now actually inclined towards selecting Shardul Thakur. I was going for Ashwin because of the matchups he had. He has performed brilliantly against Australia, and I think in the last series we played down under, he got Steven Smith so many times, and this time he had Manas Labuschagn's number as well in India. So just because of that, I mean it's R Ashwin. It's a huge player to drop actually, but I think the conditions in cricket dictates the game, and I think that is where the Shardul Thakur is gonna get the nod. Also, I think in the last game in Oval, he batted brilliantly. Shardul Thakur, India was struggling, and then he came with that, fiery 60, which put India back into the game and eventually winning it as well. So we expect the same, but he's not in his is a very good form right now with his bat. But let's hope he delivers the same sort of performance again this time. And then the bowling is like obviously Mohammad Siraj, Mohammad Shami, and then this third seamer. I think the debate is going on for this third seamer, where Umesh Yadav is the obvious choice, but here I would like to see Jaidev Unadkat actually, because I'm a firm believer like variation in the attack, and I mean you cannot criticize this Indian bowling attack one bit, because they have been brilliant in like last 5-6 overs. But sometime I've seen like against South Africa, those two test matches where we were not able to defend it. The totals in 240, I think that was some total where we were not able to defend it, and I think and also against England last year, where I think we were not able to defend almost 400 runs. So that is where I feel like you need a bit of variation, because all four bowlers, Shardul Thakur, Umesh Yadav, Shami, Siraj, I think they're all right-handed, almost on the same pace, and so that is where a left-arm bowler, and especially Unadkat, who did well against Bangladesh, I think, and can bring some variation, and can surprise Aussie batting lineup as well. So I would like to see Jaidev Unadkat in place of Umesh Yadav, but I think Team India is going to go for the experience of Umesh Yadav, and I'm also a huge fan of Umesh Yadav, but the only problem I have with him is like he is too hot, too cold, and someday he can bowl the unplayable deliveries, but someday he can be off and you almost like playing with a bowler less. And Aussie's predicted 11 is very less complex, and because there are very less injury concerns. I think the only injury concern is Hazelwood is not fit for this game, so I think Scott Boland is going to play in place of him, so another quality bowler. And so that is why they consist of three pacers, one all-rounder, one spinner, and I've already discussed about the rest of the batters. So this is a very solid Aussie starting lineup. And my prediction, actually, um, I say it with a heavy heart. I think Australia is slightly, not slightly, I think the favorites to win this second edition of World Test Championship, because for India, I think the obvious reasons we discussed earlier, like absence of Bumrah, Pant, KL Rahul as well, and I think this quick turnaround in different conditions altogether. I think this is gonna be too much to handle, I believe. But hopefully I'm wrong, and India, pull up something out of their bag which surprises everyone, and bring that elusive ICC trophy. And guess what? I will be there. Long live Test cricket is gonna be there in Oval cheering for Team India. I'll be there on the day one and day third, and I have the tickets for day five as well. So hopefully, I'm gonna see India lifting that elusive ICC trophy after 10 years, and I'll be, I'll be just on the cloud nine, and I'm the as obviously every Indian cricket fan, and it will be some scene to witness. Till then, bye bye. Take care, and long live Test cricket will be back during that World Test Championship final. Ta-da!